Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be having a look through another box of vintage Penguin books, and these are from the mid-1950s. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so we'll crack on with this one, which is The DA Calls It Murder, and this is 1955. So a bit of spine roll on this one actually, which is a bit of a shame. Now I must, before I go any further, apologise for last week's audio. Now some people actually enjoyed it, but what I was doing, I was filming with a new, basically a different camera to the one that I have been doing and the one that I'm filming with this one, and the settings on it, and I haven't been able to sort this out yet, made it so that the audio was much louder than I wanted. So if I would put a book down like that, it would really sound very loud. Not what we wanted. It was almost too much in actual fact, but the books were cleaned. There was nothing else I could really do about it, so that was that really. So that was number 1040. Bit of spine roll, not the greatest of copies in all honesty, compared to some, so I think I am going to put that on my upgrade list. So 1040, The DA Calls It Murder, Earl Stanley Gardner. So I haven't got all the ones post 1000, so there will be lots of gaps, but I am cleaning them in the order that I have them in my collection, which is a Penguin main series order here. This is like 1043, so there's like a couple missing there already, you know. Here's one of those crossword puzzle books. I did recently cover all the crossword books in my collection in a video on my other channel, and that one's absolutely fine. There's no sort of marks on that one. What you usually find with crossword puzzles is the first handful at the start have been done, but that one's actually, by the look of it, yeah, it's okay. It's never been touched, that, which is quite nice. Mortal Coils, Aldous Huxley. This is 1051. So I've recently been to the London Comic Con. I went with my son Sam. That was fantastic. And I was sent there. My main channel got sponsored by a company called Whatnot, and they're a company where you sell items through like live auctions on your mobile phone. It's very cool indeed. Now I'm going to put this one, even though it's not bad on the face of it, it has got that water ripple along the top. So Brave New World, 1052, Aldous Huxley. Shouldn't be too difficult to pick up a copy of this one, but I'll pop it on the wants list. So that's done really well, and that, as you watch this, if you watch it the day it goes out, I'll be doing my live stream on Whatnot the very next day, and got some good prizes to give away as well just by being on the stream. So see, there's a tiny bit of wear on the spine there. The Rod of Anger. The thing is, with a lot of the books that I got post Penguin number 1000, I got them sort of at jumble sales and at boot sales. Rarely did I ever get them off dealers, and the reason for that was because I would always try and concentrate on the earlier books, of course. You know, I just wanted them rather than post 1000. So although I always collected Penguin right up until the introduction of ISBNs, which is about sort of 1969-ish, I still picked up the earlier books, just not always in tip-top condition, because they would be ones that you could generally find a lot easier. So this one here then, The Affairs of Flavel, this is the first printing from 1955. Then this one here is the reprint with the illustrated games cover, which is so this must be the reprint. Yeah, from 1959. So Penguin did this little run of books which will have these really nice illustrated jackets. I really like them myself, and I think they're terrific. There's about 30 odd, and I think I'm missing 3, and I've probably got to upgrade about 3, but as soon as I've got the set, I'm going to do a whole video on those, because I really like them, and it's one of the things I'd like to film. This is a really nice copy of this one. Byron in Italy. The Unvanquished. Once again, a really nice copy of that one. On the face of it, yeah, a little stamp there at the top, but That's about it. So we don't mind that. Appointment in New Orleans. So I've got a bit of a repair job planned on my penguins. It's one called Speedy Death. So I'm going to release that one on both channels when I do it. And it's a very rare wartime book, but it's got no spine. Well, it's got a spine, but it's completely gone. It's just worn out. So I've had a friend of mine make me, he's a book designer, he's actually made me a replacement spine. And I'm going to film the whole process of putting on the new spine. Should be fairly entertaining. Shouldn't be too complicated. I have done one before on a wartime penguin and it went all right. So hopefully this will be the same. Here's a Hemingway. These are much harder to find in nice condition in penguin than you might expect, and they took me a bit of tracking down because I really like Hemingway. I think he's all right as an author. Here's another one here. For Whom the Bell Tolls. Penguin actually created his own logo there. The H with the E on top. Really nice. And of course, Farewell to Arms was Penguin book #2. So Penguin have had a long association with Ernest. There we are, Men Without Women. That's got 2 shillings on the front there, and it looks like it's in pencil, so let's see if that comes off. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's on... that really did look like pencil, but actually no, on reflection it must be ink of some sort, so it's a bit of a waste of time, wasn't it? He was incredibly well travelled, was Hemingway. And if you are at all curious about him, I very much recommend Michael Palin's In the Footsteps of Hemingway. It was a BBC series quite a long time ago now, 20, 30 years ago. But it was brilliant, and you can still catch it on the iPlayer if you've got the BBC iPlayer, or even a thing called BritBox, which I think is just a British-only streaming service, but is also very, very good. G.K. Chesterton. Again, a few of these are a little less the worse for wear than I'd like, but I can't really complain because most of them cost pennies. But thankfully, anything post 1000, in fact post about 800 in the numbered series with Penguin, is relatively cheap to pick up off a dealer. You can pick them up in nice condition for like £2 to £3 a pop, but most of these would have been like boot sale finds that I've had sort of over the years, you know. This is quite a nice one, The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. You don't really think of him as a crime author, but quite a famous one. It became a Penguin classic, of course, didn't it? But this is the first printing of it. So this is an example of a Penguin that would be a few pounds if you got it in this sort of condition. It probably would be like £5 to £8 online. It's quite a big, thick book, particularly one in pretty nice nick, in actual fact. Now that's them all gone through, so what we'll do now, we'll give them a brush. Oh, quite heavy. It won't be a massively long video, I wouldn't have thought today, because there's no polishing involved, sadly. But last week's 3-hour bonanza hopefully made up for that. Or actually the week before, wasn't it? But yeah, a bit of a shame about the old volume last time, but normal service will be resumed. Now, with doing all this stuff for Whatnot, the sponsor on my other channel, it has left me a little fatigued with it all because I've been doing so much to deadlines and things like that. So I definitely want to carry on doing these cleaning videos because I really enjoy it, and the books look great when they're done, and I can sort of safely say that they've been cleaned properly, which is always a good thing. But there's still quite a bit to go, and I would hope in the course of the next 12 months, I'm hoping, or we are hoping I should say, to possibly move house. Now if that happens, I'm going to have to temporarily put the book collection in storage, and I might have to temporarily stop cleaning books and we might have to concentrate on some other stuff. I'll probably do all my cleaning videos on this channel just to keep it ticking over. But I'd like to get to a point where, before we move house and I have to pack up the collection, the majority of stuff has been cleaned and I can box it up, and I will of course record the whole process, because the whole point of moving house is I'm looking for somewhere bigger to have a downstairs library, and I'm going to do it 4 walls with an island in the middle. It's all going to be bookcases with a lovely nice comfortable chair in the middle where I can be doing my reading, and I'm very much going to look forward to doing that. So that's the plan. At the moment, as you know, the books are they're not all accessible, shall we say, and even in a library they won't be completely accessible, because I'm probably, if I've got one dedicated room, I'm probably going to need to have the shelves so deep that I can have 2 rows, so like a row in front of a row. It's just going to be how it's going to be, unfortunately, but I'm not too worried about that. The main thing is it'll be my own library stroke archive, and that is worth pointing out. So they'll be quite tightly packed, but everything will be in there and I will be able to enjoy it. And it may well be that a lot of the videos that I film, I won't have a dedicated studio then, because the walls will be floor to ceiling books. It'll be very well insulated, so it's not going to be echoey, and I think we'll be able to do some really quite cool videos in that environment with the books as the backdrop. So quite exciting times and plans ahead over the next couple of years, and I think if you stick with me, I think you're going to really enjoy the ride of me getting the actual library built and filling it up with, well, I think the best part of about 15,000 books, which is going to be quite something, I think. So consequently, that needs to be on the ground floors. We need to find the right property first of all. Right, so another Earl Stanley Gardner. So Penguin really did knock them out, and boy oh boy, are they difficult to find in nice condition. There he is there, and he was a real best-selling author, wasn't he, old Earl? One of my favourites, John Wyndham. This is his follow-up to the Day of the Triffids, the Kraken Wakes. Always remember when I picked this one up, it was quite early on in my penguin collecting career. It was back in the early 90s, and I was going to vote, and it was the general election, I think it was, and I just had to go down the road to the local church hall where the voting was happening, and they had a little box of books, and it was there, and you had to just put a donation into the church. So I gladly popped, I don't know, 50p or £1 in, and that's the copy I've still got. It's first edition. It's absolutely beautiful copy of it. And here's the slightly later one. It's the reprint, but it's got that like little vignette that was quite common with Penguin in the 60s. So this is the same title, but it's the copy from 1962. And once again, if you've never read The Kraken Wakes, it's not as good as Triffids, but it really does catch you unawares, and I really like it. I really like it. It's a great one. So now we've got 2 copies of The Night Runners of Bengal, John Masters. So this is, I believe, once again, I think this is the first printing, but we'll double check. Oh dear, got some turned over pages there, so that's not a very good start, is it? But we can soon sort that out, because we know how to do these things. Yeah, there we are. So that's the first from 1955. I mean, it's not perfect. It's borderline, but it'll do. It's not like a key major title. Here's the follow-up, which is the same book, but in Abraham Games' colour cover world. Now, this, unfortunately, has had that part of the spine sellotaped on, and the tape is starting to yellow, but there is no way I can get around that, and they've not done the greatest of jobs. So this is going to be a filler until I can get a better one. So this on my Games Illustrated Covers books is on the old upgrade list already, and this was the second printing from 1957. There is some pencil underneath that pen, so we might as well get it looking as good as possible, but it's still not going to be great, I'm afraid, because there's pen there. So this is an upgrade. These colour ones generally don't turn up that often. As I said, they're not all first editions, so a lot of Penguin collectors have just skirted over them. And you would really only want to pick these up if you were trying to put a run of these illustrated ones together, you know. So, David Dodge, Shear the Black Sheep, 1078. It's got the remnants of some pencil marks. It's quite faint, but it's not all out. So I'm going to give it the extra once over. There we are. Lovely. Anthony Trollope there, Barchester Towers. Another one that became a classic, didn't it? Never read any Trollope. He's never appealed to me at all. I'm sure he's very good. Just not my bag. Tenant for Death, Cyril Hare. Few turned over pages here, corners I should say. There we are, I think we've got them all. Yeah, that's alright. Reasonable, nice condition crime one there. And Pouchon, information received. On the whole, so far, we've really not had a lot to do. This one's got the bottom of the spine is just split there on the front cover, but not a lot I can really do about that. Apart from that, it's a nice copy, so I'm just going to be happy with that. Here's another illustrated one, The Deceivers. Looks like it's already had the bottom of the spine glued back. Yeah, and this is the reprint. A little £2 inside, so we get rid of that. So I haven't got the first printing of it, I've only got the reprint, but the reprint is probably the more desirable one because it's got that nice illustrated jacket, which is what the collectors like. Reunion in Florida, Todd Claymore, okay. Alright. The Follower. Department of Dead Ends. So it's been a while since I've picked up any Penguin main series. I've been picking up other things. So you may have seen that I recently went up to All You Need Is Books. He received quite a big Penguin book collection. I love this one. This is a great title. And he received a big book collection. I was able to pick up some handbooks. I got some games covers. And most recently I picked up a load of Penguin poetry for my collection. Next time I go up, if he's still got them, I'm going to pick up some Penguin classics. Very, very nice. This one, really nice nice book that. So I think we'll give these a brush. Yeah, so it's been a while since I picked up any main series books because the dealer I often buy from, the last time he did a catalogue, it was Books Out the Hat, and unfortunately my name was very much down the list, so I didn't get hardly anything, you know, just a handful of bits and pieces. But now that I'm only one short of the first 1,000, I'm much more tempted now to priority would be the one that I'm missing, followed by any books that I need to upgrade, then followed by the second 1,000. So that's sort of what I would be going for now. Plus unusual bits and pieces as they come my way, really, you know. I think because I've picked up so many poetry and Penguin handbooks lately, it would be nice to try and slim the numbers of those down a bit, because I'm doing so well on them at the moment, you know. But these don't seem mega dusty. I guess for starters, they're not as old as some of the other Penguins we've been doing, you know. And even when they're on the shelf, I try and put a dust towel over them, like a beer towel, just to keep general dust off them, you know. I won't do that when their books are in the library. I'm just going to be quite on top of hoovering it, like at least once a week, possibly, to keep the dust levels down. But there's not going to be any open windows. So I'm not going to have any windows in there where dust can blow in from the outside or any other foreign bodies. As long as it's well insulated, I think we're going to be good to go. And I will have my dehumidifier in there as well to make sure the room stays ultra dry, which I've done in the past. And I've got a dehumidifier here in the studio actually for the same reasons. Thankfully, my loft, where a lot of these books are generally stored, is bone dry, which is just how you want it. Well, amazingly, we're already over halfway, so let's crack on with the next lot. Bernard Spilsbury, His Life and Cases. Evidently a famous detective of some sort, if this is in the crime colours. Penguin did do a little bit of true crime, and it was funny, it became a thing, I think, in the 1930s, where people were really fascinated with true crime cases, you know. 1955. So all these books we've been looking at, except for the few reprints, have all been mid-1950s. H.E. Bates, that's borderline. Got a little bit of loss at the bottom of the spine, but I think I'm going to let it slide. Famous Trials 5. This is a whole series. I think it goes up to about 12, I think, in this vintage form. Once again, true crime again. Just talking about that. That's absolutely fine. Another crossword book here, the Daily Telegraph 5th crossword book. Now, this has got wear. You see, it's got a much darkened spine. It's not exactly the greatest ever copy, but I don't care. And it's in fact, it's got lots of, in fact, almost all the crosswords have been done, but in pencil. Now, I could, if I had a life, I could go through and rub them out, but I'm not going to. But I'm sure some people do. But there we are. I'll take the little 25p out, because that's probably what I paid for this one. Almost certainly it was from a boot sale or a jumble sale or something like that. But for me, you know, until a better one comes along, that's going to be fine. I'm not too worried about it. This, this is great. So this is Agatha Christie. Now, she had 2 books that were published as with games covers, and this is one of them. This is one that I'm sure, because of the cover mark there and the foxing, 10.99, Murder in Mesopotamia. This will be the reprint copy with games, so I'm going to put that on one to make sure I've got it as an upgrade, one that I do need to improve on. Although on the face of it, and it's got a fairly nice spine, so could be a lot worse. And that one actually needs to go after the actual first Penguin printing of it, which is this one. This is the original one. Now, these were part of a series, I believe, which were Crime Club titles, and Penguin were given the honour of reprinting 10 titles by Christie. They've got the Crime Club logo on, Shooting the Penguin, which I love. The design of this is great. Each book, as I recall, had a brand new introduction by Christie. Well, actually, that's got forward by Giles Riley. I always thought these had a special introduction. It must be the second set that I've got the Christie introductions. These were at Crime Club's 25th anniversary, and it was those ones there. So I think, in actual fact, this is a separate run that we'll probably see next time. So, and those I'm certain have got Christie introductions in. So we'll pop that up there for now. But I have got all those Crime Club ones in some form. Oh, in fact, here is another one. The Wheel Spins. So it was the 25th anniversary of the Crime Club. And this would have been, was it 1955 still? Yeah. So 1930 the Crime Club started. Now, a run of books by C.S. Forster. So C.S. Forster is most famous for his Hornblower books. But this is one of his other most famous ones, The African Queen. He did have quite an output. And I once had a first edition hardback of this that I picked up in New Zealand. A first British hardback. Really expensive now, it's 750 quid. I paid £1.50 for it, and I sold it when I came back to Britain. This was in about 1990. I think I sold it for about £75. So I made a huge profit on it myself. But it was one I wish I kept, because I have got all these Hornblower books. Like this one here, Flying Colours. I've got the whole lot in first edition hardback now. The early ones, the first 3 are in facsimile Dutch wrappers because they're incredibly rare. But what a set of books. If you've never read them either, I think the Hornblower books are just superb. They're just the business. I absolutely love them. I've had multiple copies of all of these. So it's interesting to see that that one's so very, very badly tanned. That will definitely benefit from a good brush in a minute. It's Mr. Midshipman. This, if you read it chronologically, this is the first Hornblower to read, and this is the same thing. It's actually got really, it's got really sun bleached edges, but there's such a good read there. Oh, can't say enough good things about it. Well, I actually got a double of Mr. Midshipman Horn, probably because I love them so much that I've got a double of the old one. Yeah, it's still a first print, so I actually have already got an extra copy of Mr. Midshipman, Commodore. So these must have all come from the same collection because they've got the same sort of sun bleeding, you know. So the good thing about Hornblower is his entire career gets mapped out over the course of the books, right up into like first Lord of the Admiralty, you know. So if you want to read an entire career, you can do it if you want to, you know. This was a non-Hornblower one. So next week, although we've still plenty to go yet, but next week I'm going to be doing, I think, more Pam books. There is a chance we might need to do some more Pelican, and I'm going to check back on the channel and see how far we got on the Pelicans, because I know we didn't do them all, but I'm planning to do a new Pelican video for the main channel, and it would be nice to do the books once they've been cleaned already, in preparation, as it were, you know. I was also going to do a series of like minor Penguin series, if that makes sense. So it would be stuff that had short runs, like Penguin Guides and Penguin Shakespeare and things like that, like the short stuff. Russian Review, they did some magazines, they did Russian Review, and they did Film Review, and they did Science News, and what was it, New Biology was another one. There was a few of them, and I've got them all complete now. So that might make a fairly interesting video. The subjects are a little bit dry, but I think they're still quite a good part, and none of them being cleaned, so I think we need to get them cleaned first of all, and then I'll be able to film some vids on them. Interesting to see if these brighten up a little bit. Yeah, maybe they do, yeah. Look at that, loads of dust coming off them. Plumes! Wow, that's good. Well, the proof will be in this top edge here. Hopefully they can lighten up a little bit. Yeah, look at that. Much better. Much better indeed. I can't believe the difference it's made. Incredible. Wow. My arm's aching now, but I think it's done the trick. It's really, really cleaned those ones up. Last few here. So look, one of these is really bad. You see again? It's sort of sandwiched, so. Making some dust today. Yeah, much better. Not perfect, but better. Right, last few of these. Foresters. Let's get a few. I don't know what that is. March 89, that's probably what that means. And then 490. So looks like this one's been read a couple of times in the last 30 or 40 years. Once again, it's a non-hornblower again, brown on resolution. Apart from that, it's a nice copy. Death to the French, another non-hornblower. I seem to remember I got a lot of these at the same time, and they were amongst the earliest penguins that I got because I just loved the Hornblower books. 1956 these were published, and I made a point of picking up all of C.S. Forester in Vintage Penguin. And this one here, my granddad knew the author quite well, Elephant Bill, as his name was. So I've got a copy of that in hardback, which has been signed by Elephant Bill to my granddad. Max Murray, The Voice of the Corpse. Not a name I know much about. So again, I've got a few bits of pencil inside. We can get this out. Don't think we'll get it all out because some of it I think is pen. Oh no, it's all pencil. Well, that's handy. Handy dandy. That's good. Yeah. Looks good. We did a number on that one. Lovely. Lovely. Diamonds for Moscow. Oh, this is a little tatty after that last one, isn't it? Oh, look at that pen on the inside. Loose covers. A water splash. This is straight onto the upgrade list. It's letting the side down. So, 1128. Diamonds for Moscow. David E. Walker. Upgrade, please. There's nothing we can do on that. It's just a tatty old copy. John Buckemeyer. Yeah, I should remember getting this one. He's an author that's held up remarkably well. And if you read John Buckham today, I guarantee you'll enjoy him. Honestly, the stories are so good. There. Absolutely fantastic, and he's still got a lot of fans, I'll tell you that. Errol Stanley, The Case of the Half-Wakened Wife. She was half-wakened, my lord. But why was she half-wakened? I don't know. Yeah, like all the Errol Stanleys, it could do with an upgrade, but I'm not going to put it on the list yet. This one's far worse. So The Short Weekend. Pen on the front there, pen or staining on the back. Quite a thin little tome, this one. He's borderline, but because of that, and look how much the spine is split, it's a bit too far gone to live forever in my collection. So 1140, The Short Weekend. I'll pop that on the old upgrade list as well. See, there's nothing we can do about that. It's just come away. It's a shame. So we'll just mark it as an upgrade, and a better one will come along. This was wasn't this the original book of the famous musical hit? Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't this a movie as well at one point? The Pajama Game. Illustrated cover by cartoonist Peter Arno. That's not too bad. Here's a classic, a James Joyce, Dubliners, 15 short stories of Dublin life. He's not an author I've tried as well, but I just can't get into him. I know he's great. I know he writes really well. He's just doesn't appeal. I don't know what it is. I'm not a massive fan of Irish fiction myself. Ellery Queen, though, look, The American Gun Mystery. This looks quite a nice, tidy, square copy of this one, which is unusual for a title like this. Yeah, 1956. That's a beauty. That is really nice. Really deep green on that as well. That's lovely, that one. That's very, very nice. Yeah, it's almost like the books have just slightly changed. A few of these have got a slight glossening of the covers now. So maybe the printing has changed ever so slightly, just on the covers maybe. Probably to keep up with Pan. Now this one's got... Oh, the spine isn't great on this. It needs re-gluing. It's another Ellery Queen, so I need to get some glue in there. Now, I'm tempted... Yeah, it's one of those ones where, with a little teasing, I think we can get the whole cover off, and then it'll be much easier to glue. Because we've seen this before. It ain't nothing new. There we are. So we need to re-glue that, basically, because it was half coming away. But we can do that, because we know how to do it. So I'm going to do this bit first of all. Some actual repair work. Shock horror. Okay, now I'm not going to glue that down yet because I'm also going to put some along there. So that everything is nice and gluey and sticky. There we are. That should be fine, so we should be able to get a reasonably good adhesion there. I want to do it when the book is straight because it has rolled a little bit. The reason it's happened is because the book's been read a few times, unlike The American Gun Mystery, which was in great shape. This one has been read, so it has had, and read a few times by the look of it, so it has had a bit of wear. But it is a crime writer who I like, and it's a crime title that is collectible, so I think we've not done a bad job there. We'll give it a brush in a minute, but that will eventually sort itself out. So, and then we've got one more Ellery Queen, so I don't know what the number in 147, 148. This is 151, so they probably released 5 Ellery Queens, because that's what Penguin would do. They would do 10s and 5s around this period, and I love it when they concentrate on a particular author like that. So these little black marks, I'm just rubbing my thumb across it, because this is a splash of something that's gone on there. In a lot of cases, it just frees it from the cover without having to do anything, which is what it's doing here. If you can feel a little indentation with your fingers, you can generally, there you go, so you just generally just scrape it off with a thumbnail. So that actually looks a lot better than it did. In fact, this is another one. Definitely the covers have changed ever so slightly, and they're actually they've got a little bit of gloss to them. Now, I'm not going to polish them per se, but I'm just going to put a little bit of rub on these bits just to see if it does dislodge those last couple of marks. No. Well, even so, I think that's still better than, because that was, you know, if you scroll back, you'll see what that was like. Back's okay. Just a little bit of page edge wear now. Oh, that's a shame. Look at that. Someone's torn out a bit of the map. Oh dear. That's a shame. It's not too, it's still alright. It's borderline, but it'll do. Because generally it's quite a nice, robust copy. The harsh voice, Rebecca West. Oh, so harsh. There we are, that one's okay. And all the last few. The Egg and I used to just come across this book all the time, and it would just be one that would turn up a lot. It must have had a huge print run and sold well and then did nothing. Because you just come across it all the time, you know, like no one wanted to keep it. So it must have been like a book of the moment or something, and then fell massively out of favour somehow, I don't know. The Sunshine Corpse, Max Murray. There he is. He doesn't mind. Then this last one, before we give the last little pile of brush off, is this, which is Below Suspicion. Another John Dickson Carr. Another one that's far the worse for wear. Look at this. So, 1164, John Dickson Carr, Below Suspicion. Stick it on the upgrade list. And it's also the last one we're doing today. Look at that. Can't do anything with that. We cannot repair it because it's had its day. Just put a little bit of glue on that little bit that's come away there. But this is very much here on borrowed time until a nice dealer list comes my way and I get lucky and I get some of these upgrades sorted out. I mean, something like this is really, really easy to get. You know, you could get an absolute minter for a few pounds off eBay if you wanted to. I'm quite confident. It's just, you know, it's not a priority. You know, I'd much rather, there's lots of other things I'd like to get instead. But if one came across it on a list and you were buying several and you only had to pay one lot of postage and it was like $2.50, then these upgrades, that's the time I would generally grab them. Right, so the last step of the process is to give these a brush. Let's get that organised now. So I hope you've enjoyed Back to Paperbacks this week. I've enjoyed going through these. Been some good books to see, and a few more to add on to my ever growing list of upgrades. But you know, that's, if you're a collector, you're forever upgrading. That's the name of the game. You're always looking for perfection, which is never going to be found, you know. So you just get the best copies you can and live with it. But yeah, if you have enjoyed today's video, albeit it's only like 40 odd minutes, so not as long as usual. You know, I like to make these about an hour, but it just depends on the books that I'm cleaning, and because I can't polish any of these, it takes a stage of the game away, really, doesn't it? So because of that, you know, it's a little bit shorter, but I hope you've enjoyed it all the same. If you have, give it an old thumbs up. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the subscribe button. Once again, free of charge. Helps the channel grow a little bit and tells YouTube you've liked this content. And then I'll offer it up to a few more people down the line. Next week, as I said, I think it's going to be Pan paperbacks next week with a bit of luck. But thank you very much for watching today. I will see you again next week. Bye.